3 weeks consecutive, we lose $5,000, $60,000 a year, which was our bread and butter. And YouTube was bringing in entrepreneurship. There comes a point when you've got to jump off the cliff. It sounds like God just kicked you off the cliff. Now it's your time to fly.
You're in your early 20s. You end up not pursuing college. What was your view then on college, and then maybe your view now?
I think college is a scam. It's overpriced. It's mostly a broken model. I think in the modern world, education has changed. You can buy an online course or join a cohort to learn the same thing you would learn in the Ivy League, probably better. And it's just the big idea of identifying what it is you want to do in your life and then getting in proximity to the people that are doing it.
Welcome to the making of Sean Cannell. Welcome. I'm so excited to have you on the podcast today.
Oh, thank you so much for having me. I'm excited to be here.
Same. So, when I went into the archives of your life, which most of are on the internet, I learned a lot about who you were, like early days, teenager, early 20s. I want to go back to young Sean. Tell me what he was like. Was he always creative? Like, what was he into whenever you were young?
Man, take me back. That is, young Sean was born in Seattle, Washington. So kind of grew up in the Pacific Northwest culture and mainly lived in a rural small town called Arlington, Washington, which everybody at the time at my high school pretty much wore Carhartt, not because it was cool. Now, like hipsters are wearing, Carhartt beanies, and women got their pumpkin spice fall latte, like, Carhartt, it's a fashion statement. It's because I grew up around farmers, and like grew up on 6 acres. But then I also had this pull to skate culture, snowboard culture. So snowboarded ski bus for like 10 years and was trying to skateboard, even though it rains so much in the Northwest. And grew up kind of in that mindset of the Pacific Northwest, meaning Pearl Jam, Nirvana, kind of counterculture, and was influenced by kind of indie rock and underground hip hop and all that kind of stuff. And so that was my high school years, and it's quite the ride. And here's a picture. I also there's a picture of me somewhere with shaved head, bleached hair, because Eminem, because of the real Slim Shady. So that was probably like my sophomore year in high school, and I was kind of into all the different Fast and Furious. So I don't know, kind of like young,
Love it.
music, cars, and ultimately too. I got expelled from high school. So I was definitely sort of influenced by maybe the real hip hop life messaging, which to this day, or, fast forward to today, would not really be my value system. And there's been a whole transformation of, I think, my faith and my character over the years. But as far as high school goes, that's the Sean that you would meet there was 2 years in a row. And this is a contradiction. At my sophomore year with my friend Chad, at the talent show, we did Bye 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 by NSYNC dance with 4 of us because we didn't have 5. So there's that. And that was awkward. And then I think the next year for the talent show, I wrote a rap and I did a freestyle rap. And so it was that I wanted to be a white rapper, and faced a lot of ridicule and shame from my peers because I wasn't very good. But, ultimately, there you go. There's high school Sean.
Wow. I thank you for painting that very vivid picture. I pulling on the Carhartt thread, also from the Midwest farm country. So I think it's very interesting that Carhartt is now very fashionable. And then, the nod to Fast and Furious, the nod to Eminem. And did this influence your career as a DJ? Because you were DJing as well, which you did not mention.
Yes. So so I love music, still do listen to a lot of diverse music, and I wanted to get into DJing, and I actually got Gemini vinyl decks, record players, and a Newmark mixer, and would be DJing vinyl as a hobby, like so underground hip hop and break beats, and then a little bit of techno as well. So pretty diverse. There was I even spent some time in rave culture. So sort of, loved EDM. And my license plate of my 1994 teal with yellow trim Fast and Furious Honda Civic that was not very fast, but definitely still, had a cool air intake and headers. And then, of course, the system and everything else.
It was
A short
furious.
shifter that I didn't even need. But ultimately, that my license plate was DJ Blaze.
Amazing.
So there's that. A little nod to Cannabis and Wu-Tang and Method Man, who is Johnny Blaze. So there's the niche references, ultimately, that was the DJing side of things. And
what got you into video? When did the video, like that side of your creativity, start to craft itself?
So I actually ended up getting into video in 2003 in my local church. So we just took a giant leap from DJ Blaze to, local church serving in the youth ministry. But that was kind of a process of getting expelled from high school and then kind of going just deeper into like party life and culture and kind of driving eventually to kind of a rock bottom because of how extreme I took things. And so as I started to gain perspective, my life took a couple of turns and I wanted to be on a better path. So I started volunteering at a small church, an hour north of Seattle, and a small youth ministry, like small meaning like 8 kids coming on a Wednesday night. And
Wow.
my parents just started going to that church. And so I talked to the youth pastor and I was like, I'd love to help out and serve. And this guy, his name's Jeff, is been such an incredible mentor and influence in my life. And he said, well, okay, cool. How about we start making some video announcements for Wednesday night at youth group? And he saw we had kind of an affinity. He kind of had that California culture where he had grown up as a surfer and was born and was also kind of into that similar mindset. And especially in the church, the mindset of, he was into the similar mindset of kind of like music, creativity, art. And I think one of the big overlaps creativity wise is actually kind of that counterculture, skateboard culture, snowboard culture itself. More specifically, I was watching all these different skateboard and snowboard videos. And this is some of the best stuff creativity wise that there is. Meaning at the time I was getting like Toy Machine, VHS videos and the different skate brands and snowboard brands. And what you would see in this content is a lot of creative video editing, a lot of creative and bleeding edge and niche unique music, a lot of kind of that spirit of like freedom and thinking different and thinking outside of the box. And the way that edits were put together and all of that stuff was, it's kind of its own style, and of course, art is in the eye of the beholder. But in my opinion, it's like a better style. Like a lot of traditional media can be very boring or it could be very canned. And you just had it was a canvas. And I think that's what skate culture and counterculture in general. You do have a lot of, you see the intersection between art, creativity, fashion, the way the artwork would be done on skateboard decks from Volcom and these different places. You would see this eclectic and then the music ties into all of that. So with all of those influences, Jeff had similar. So not only did he want me to make videos for the youth ministry, but this, young guy, 19 at the time, I come in and I just want to volunteer. In hindsight, not that I like had any particular set of skills at the time, but I had potential. He's like, man, it's kind of cool that this guy's kind of cool. Like he's sort of, I didn't expect him to come through our doors. Maybe he could start, making some videos for us. And I think those influences influenced my immediate style and later style in my pursuit of video editing. And so I picked those things up quickly. And a few seeds of that's so funny is one, my brother Phil Jr.'s wedding. I became the videographer as a pretty young kid. I might have been like 13 or something. And nobody was going to make a wedding video for it. So like, hey, Sean, get some shots. They handed me the video camera and it was terrible, but you saw like, it was also already, I think I was a little bit older. I might have been like 15 or 16. So I already, probably because I was watching some skateboard, and snowboard videos, the angles, the creativity, the edits, some humor, some different stuff that was happening, that you saw some seeds of that.
Yeah.
And then also in high school, the high school I got expelled from is actually a Christian high school called Kings in Shoreline, Washington. But they had a radio station, an internet radio station called Cross Rock Radio. And that was my favorite class. And my responsibility was using Adobe Audition to cut up ads, like promotions for different events that were happening at the school. And I was mixing. So I'm laying down the music beds and the voiceover and bringing in some sound effects. And then I would be blending the ad that I would create with the content that would have been maybe the play-by-play from the high school basketball game or football game, or even music. And so I'd mix up music tracks, blend them together. And then you see the intersection between the DJing, radio. And I wasn't doing video at the time, but I already had learned, I hadn't edited video yet by the time I was volunteering at in the youth group, but I had been editing audio, filming a little. And I was also actually super into photography. I had this old Sony, might have been like a 0.5 megapixel. And in my car, I had one of this CD deck, absolutely, like it was like the thing to show off. My deck, I spent a lot of money on it that I was cutting grass during summers to save up to put like systems and upgrade my car. It just had a tiny LCD screen that also probably was, 30 by 30 pixels, but I could put my it wasn't even an SD card, but some kind of memory card in there and play like a slideshow of my 40 pictures or something. And so I was into my other favorite class in high school was photography, and I actually did black and white photography, and actually was developing film. And so you saw a lot of those seeds. Like I gravitated, I think, towards that arena, but I also didn't like chase down video. And sometimes I look back and I think I didn't choose video. Video chose me because he just said, "Hey, do you want to start filming videos for the youth ministry?" I'm like, "Sure." And then as a result, here we are today. Now I've been doing video for 20 years and YouTube for 17 years. And that was sort of the genesis of all of it.
It's crazy how you really can go back and look at all the indicators and like connect the dots that lead you to where you are now. I want to jump forward a couple of years. You're in your early 20s. You end up not pursuing college and you go into like building a career. You're doing social media management and like social media consulting, and you're doing some director of communications at different churches. When did this kind of turn into a career? Because you've got the creative side. You obviously have skills that people are like, okay, Sean knows how to do this. I want to hire him. I want to work with him. When did that turn for you, like mindset wise, to turn this into a career? And kind of a sub question, what's your views on college? Now, I mean, you and I both know you can be very successful without college. What was your view then on college, and then maybe your view now, and like how that then dictated or influenced the path your career took?
Yeah. So in 2011, I moved to Vegas with my wife to take a director of communications role at a church. And at that time, I had now started 3 YouTube channels, and was fully committed to them, but just committed to them on the side. So a few years previous, my first YouTube channel was just a portfolio of my freelance video business. So that's called Clear Vision Media. And it wasn't like trying to grow. I would just upload, whatever, portfolio. So the second YouTube channel was called Think International, and it was an interview show with pastors, church leaders, authors. Did about 250 videos, grew to 10,000 subscribers. That channel has since been renamed to Jeff Moore's, and the guy I started it with is, taking it over. And then I had started I had started Think Media as well, and Think International, which was more leadership and interviews with leaders. I started getting questions in the church world about what camera are you using? What microphone are you using? Because again, up until that point, now I had been doing video for about 7 years. And because I had started my freelance business, all with sort of this mindset. Even if you look at some of those early videos, we had some vlogging in there. I had a fisheye lens that I screwed on my Canon Vixia camera, and we would go film not skate or sports content, but we would film it with like a rig that was, again, like a snowboard, skateboard setup.
Mm-hmm.
And then the editing and the music of all the Think International stuff was just, it was all my dream, was just to do things different. And because of that, we actually got quite a bit of attention in a sub niche, the church world. And so different pastors and church media teams and all those people would be like, hey, what mic are you using? How you guys are doing that? What camera are you using? And so that's why I started Think Media. And it was called Think Media at the time. We eventually X'd out the TV, just called Think Media now, what it is today. Think on my hat, And but in hindsight, it seems like it was all pretty clear. And like Sean, did you plan out everything that's happening today with how big it's grown and, the team and everything else? And it's like, no, not really, because I even actually got distracted from, I think, my core strength. I started a personal channel where I was like vlogging and doing like gift ideas videos, and we did Vlogmas and some different stuff. So just went down a lot of detours. But I think what happened was, in saying all of this, is I read the book Crush It from Gary Vee right when it came out around 2009, 2010. And I fully committed to my side hustle. And my mindset was, as long as it takes, like I'm going to do this, period. Whether it takes 1 year, 5 years. And at the same time, I'm going to stay anchored in something that is secure, especially because for my family, for my wife, no kids at the time. And there was in 2009, my wife almost died. And so there was and different health challenges and some chronic illness stuff. So it was very important for me as, to not put my family at risk. So moving to Vegas, having a salary, health insurance, it was sort of that idea of being anchored in something stable, but always chipping away at the side hustle. So I was all in, and sometimes that meant I didn't post because I was too busy with my other responsibilities, but it meant if I had a little bit of extra time or like lighter workload at church, because summer is a lot lighter, Easter and Christmas is crazy, summer's a lot lighter, then I would hustle really hard on my side hustle. And if you look at the trajectory of our main channel now, Think Media, it's pretty flat, especially compared to the views now from 2010 to 2015. But in answer to your question, like when was the transition? At the end of 2015, October 2015, I went all in, and we're actually we're a year out from our 10-year anniversary of Think Media, as defined not by the first upload, but as defined by 10 years of essentially starting the company. Although the S Corp did not start for a few more years, it was scrappy. Like I'm just technically just my social security number. I'm a contractor, other contractors. Probably would have been smart to even have an LLC, didn't it first, but just messy, like figuring it all out. But it was basically all in October 2015. And really because, I was in essentially full-time ministry. I mean, working for a church, and I eventually had the clarity, but also was essentially let go from that church. And in a positive way, they brought me back on as a freelancer and a contractor. So my transition period was kind of like 3 main freelance clients. And then interestingly enough, October 2015, all 3 fired me in 3 consecutive weeks. So
really quick, let's stop there. So you lose all 3 freelance clients in the span of 3 weeks. In that moment, like, what was that telling you? How did you make meaning from that?
Well, the original meaning was, am I a failure? Is the ship sinking? We hit an iceberg, we're going down. Because in the first week, the church let me go. And it was, I generally try to always see like possibilities and problems. Like sometimes on Instagram stories, I'm like, rise and grind. It's a new day of new opportunities and new possibilities. Like I always want to like see opportunities and possibilities. So they said like, listen, it's been great having you freelance social media, YouTube and video stuff for us, but we're just going a different direction. We want to bring it in-house. They let me go. That was like a $2,000 a month kind of retainer.
Mm-hmm.
So I was like, man, that's discouraging, but it's only 1 out of 3. Simple enough. Just replace them. It's a bummer to get let go by one of your contracts, no big deal. But then the second week, it was a little bit more brutal because a social media influencer author that I was doing the same thing for said the same thing. We're bringing it in-house. You're awesome, but you're fired. Thanks. So, okay. And that was another $2,000 retainer. And so now I'm like, okay, now we're down 4,000. I'm a little bit nervous. And then the last one was 1,000. And I saw this one coming because I already knew this guy was kind of making some pivots. His name's Dr. Dave Martin, author, speaker. Now he's a church planner. And he, same thing. Hey, we got to let you go. Again, we're bringing our stuff in-house. So 3 weeks consecutive, we lose $5,000, $60,000 a year, which was our bread and butter. And YouTube was bringing in about $300 to $500 a month in affiliate marketing with franked videos, and then about $100 in ad revenue or so. And I'd been growing up Think Media at the time. So I want to say around 10,000 subscribers at this time, maybe a little bit more. So it was cool. Like there was proof of concept. And I really knew how to do YouTube. I was mainly doing it for 3 other clients and doing it as much as I could on the side. But my initial mindset was panic. Like my initial mindset was to be a little bit freaked out. I actually called a friend, kind of business mentor named David. And I was like, David, I'm super worried. I'm losing all my clients. What are we going to do? We're actually about 6 months away from zero in our bank account if we just whittle down any savings that we have. Like, this is not looking good. And David tells me, he goes, Sean, I'm not worried. Now, for context, David had sold a education real estate business for multiple millions, and him and his wife whenever I call him, he happens to be on the beach in like Cabo, like, yeah, how's it going? Like, how can I help you with? And so I'm like, David, I know you're not worried. Like, I don't know if you heard me. I'm like offended. I'm not worried. Bro, this is the worst advice. Like, have you ever heard of the definition of the word empathy? Like, cool. Like, I just want you to know I'm comfortable right now, Sean. But ultimately, that's not what he was saying. Because he knew me and he knew the context, he was like, I'll never forget, because he said essentially, listen, in entrepreneurship, Sean, there comes a point when you've got to jump off the cliff. It sounds like God just kicked you off the cliff. Now it's your time to fly. And those words kind of hit me because at first I was like, what are you, like a leprechaun? There's like that's pretty powerful. Like that's, wow, what is insightful. But as I kind of processed it and took a breath and got, centered, I was like, okay, that's a good reframe. Yes, financially, that's a scary 3 weeks, but also it's time to go all in. And so I know some people might plan out their transition and plan out their steps and then actually look at their finances and make a decision to be like, hey, they go to their boss or something, here's my 2 weeks notice. But a lot of what I was doing was just sort of reacting in each season. Like it was sort of like the lead pastor's idea that was like, hey, what do you think about, how do you really feel about what you're doing right now? I'm like, I feel all right, but I would probably do something else. He's like, I kind of feel that too. So, hey, let's have you transition. And so all that to say was sort of initiated around me and me just reacting and trying to steward the moment. And so as soon as at the end of October going into November 2015, once I kind of got my wits about me, I got really excited, nervous financially. But for the first moment in my life, I had no clients, no job, no kids, nothing else to do. And I felt at that moment, before the result happened, because it clicked for me, I was like, I felt like it has been Christmas every day since. Not that it hasn't been hard and there hasn't been pain and scars along the way. And like people say, like, if you do what you love, you'll never work another day in your life. And I'm like, what are you talking about? That's false. I work a lot of days in my life. I love what I do, and it's freaking hard what I do too. And like, there's a lot of days I want to quit. Like, if you do what you love, like, all right, relax, Hallmark, mug. But ultimately, I did feel, I was like, whoa, I now get to focus. And then as I kept talking to David, he goes, you've been doing all this stuff for other people. Everything you've learned, all the different jobs you've had, all the different people you've worked with, all the different people you've helped, all the results you've gotten, they've really all come up to this point. Like, you know what to do. And he was right. I actually just started implementing and just started going for it. And what was cool was by January 2016, so 3 months later, I earned right around $4,500 from the Amazon affiliate program. Now, for anybody who also knows the details, that's just how much I was promised. It's always a 3-month delay in getting paid, but that's how much. And that had come out of essentially, that was, I want to say actually just December, because what I knew how to rank videos. I knew how to make videos. I knew about tech. I knew about video. I knew about microphones and all the stuff, lighting and stuff we do. And I just went crazy. And previously my energy was split between trying to do a side hustle, serve clients, and it was all focused on one thing. And with no kids and my wife bought in, I was working 60, 70, 80 hours a week, loving every minute of it. And during the holidays, it was also very strategic time. So for anybody that does any kind of affiliate marketing, they know that online sales 4 to 10x during those few months. So the fact that now in November, I'm like, wait, I'm waking up and this is the only thing I'm doing. I was just hustling every week, November, December, and then going into January. And then because of all the ingredients from my past, getting to work at churches, on teams, leadership, and always actually being very interested in not just, if you will, content creation, but thinking about what are the lessons of legacy, building a real business. From day one, I was thinking about that, meaning before I was ready, thinking about I need to hire help and hire an editor. Like before I'm ready, how could we scale this so it's sustainable? And so in relatively short order, Think Media grows in 2016, 2017, it gets crazier, 2018. I can't remember all the milestones, but like we hit 100,000 subscribers relatively fast and then start, scaling. And if we look back today, it's like over 30 W-2 employees and probably 10 more contractors and have done a lot of stuff. I think you could, in the 8 years, we're coming up 8, 9 years, coming up on our 10-year anniversary in a year. It's been a wild ride, but I like the analogy of sometimes as like the tree is growing upward and you start seeing the expanse, the height, the leaves and the fruit. That early season is actually growing much more downward first. The roots you don't see it, but it's that underground development of your character and your skill set and all of that kind of stuff. And for me, that was like a whole decade leading up to this point we're discussing right now. And then, what's my opinion on college? I mean, I think college is a scam. I think that it's overpriced. I think it's mostly a broken model. I think that it's not necessary for most people. I agree with those listening that are offended and say, what about doctors and lawyers? And like, of course, like, no, you totally should do that. But in the modern era, and then let me isolate it for creatives. I mean, film school, by the way, some even Ivy League colleges offer content creation classes now. This is a real thing. Google it. Like people, and that just seems ludicrous to me because why pay that kind of money? And there's just so many other opportunities in the modern world. And I've got examples. I think in the modern world, education has changed. You can buy an online course or join a cohort or something like that to learn the same thing you would learn in the Ivy League. Probably better, but like in the Ivy League content creation class at a fraction of the price. You can invest. Well, what about the networking and the experience of people you meet? Well, you can buy a ticket and get on a plane and go to events. And again, there's just other ways. In fact, there's a really good book by Chris Gillibaloo. I don't know how you say it. He wrote like Chris Gillibaloo. And did he write like $100 startup?
Yeah.
And I don't remember what the early book was, but his whole point too was like, you could actually like go to college without going to college by buying tickets overseas and reading the textbook still, and then going to the Louvre and looking at the actual art instead of seeing, and you could still just take the total dollars you're going to spend and invest them differently. So I think, but the other big philosophy for me would be the proximity principle. And Ken Coleman wrote a book as such, and it's just the big idea of identifying what it is you want to do in your life and then getting in proximity to the people that are doing it. So I was very thoughtful when I had the opportunity to go to Vegas in 2011 and work for Benny Perez at this church. I knew I wanted to speak and do social media of some kind and teach and have that kind of be a communicator in different formats. So having the opportunity to do video to get paid. So I think there's the intern opportunity, which was the first season of my life. There could be a paid internship opportunity, but then there also could be, who could you go work for? Why not actually go work for a YouTube influencer or a YouTube media company or some other media company or a SaaS company and be a part of their content department or whatever? Get in proximity and get your hands on and do the work, voraciously consume podcasts, books, and online courses. And that would be a pathway that is an alternative to going to college to try to figure out how to do this. But in my opinion, it's far superior because you're actually in the trenches doing hands-on work. Robert Kiyosaki, author of Rich Dad, Poor Dad, talks about, not even from like a faith-based Christian perspective, but he's like, the number one thing almost anybody that wants to be like an entrepreneur in business should do is like intern. And so I happen to intern at a church, but he's like, go intern for a successful real estate investor, go work for them, or go get on their staff somehow and just get in the game, like get in proximity. That's 100 times more valuable than going to college. And so I also think, it's a side quest to talk. You could go to trade schools and do a lot of other things, but not to, be controversial or anything. But yeah, I think college is a scam. And I think there's better paths to reaching your goals this year and beyond.
Mm-hmm. I love that perspective. And I agree with, depending on your specialization, obviously, go to school for what you need to do. But I've been in my career now for a decade, and I have only shown my resume for my very first job out of college. And it's been a decade of like, no one necessarily is wondering where I went to school. So I think it depends on, again, what you're looking for. But I agree. And I love the proximity principle. I think that's such a sound piece of advice. Jumping forward now, you mentioned you've got 31 employees and 10 contractors. Can you break down where your revenue streams are right now? And you can use percentages, we don't have to use whole numbers, but I'm curious what the breakdown is from maybe when you started to what it is now. Because I know that there's a big education arm. Speaking of education, there's a big education arm of what you do, teaching people, how they can unlock these different paths of success for themselves through video and YouTube.
Yes. So when I started, I focused on one strategy: create intent-based, aka search-based YouTube videos that help people answer specific questions related to video production and the tools for video production. Another way to put it would be product reviews or product tutorials with a tech YouTube channel that specialized in tools for creators. Think media. And the income streams were, I would actually say that my focus was to focus only on affiliate marketing and to view YouTube ad revenue as just a byproduct rather than the main goal. And this particular thing that I focused on was ranking videos, meaning I wanted to create videos that, fast forward to today, whether they were I don't even know if they had, I don't think they had 1 out of 10 or 10 out of 10 on like YouTube when you upload something new in the studio. In fact, in 2010, YouTube Studio Beta, now the official Creator Studio, looked entirely different. But a lot of people want to go for these, of course, viral. The video pops off. It beats your last video. It's parabolic. It goes straight up. But I sort of had the search-based strategy, the ranked video strategy takes a lot more patience, but I think is a lot more powerful and anti-fragile, arguably recession-proof. Because if you rank a video, so if I make a video called, I made a video about my setup that we were using with the fisheye lens on my Canon Vixia for Think International. And because I'd invested in that gear, that video is 14 years old. And it's like a review of that fisheye lens. here's what's actually crazy is that video still gets views today. It earns about $20 in ad revenue a year. It grew the channel like 5 subscribers. And I think the affiliate link would work, except for the fact that product isn't even for sale. So that you actually might still get credit because it's used. It's like not still, it's pretty old, but you could click like the used on Amazon. But then the fact that also if someone clicks my affiliate link for 24 hours, I get credit for anything else they purchase on that. So let's talk about this. This video is 14 years old. It's still getting views today. And critics might say, well, it only made $20 in a year and grew 5 subscribers. Okay, Ralph, like how many 14-year-old videos do you have that are still bringing in passive income, still actually growing your channel? And I was like, not good at the time. I mean, that was 14 years ago. Like I barely knew what I was doing. I was just taking massive, imperfect, messy action. And I just continued to dial on that process. So when I understood that YouTube is a search engine and an intent-based platform, especially in education, where people go to solve specific problems, learn specific skills, research specific products, I just focused wholly and solely and completely on that one strategy. How many ranked videos could I create? And I personally solve for and help a lot of our students solve for finances. I don't know that I'm sure I get criticized for all kinds of things. I don't know, like, but you're money obsessed. And I'm like, well, I don't know if I'm money obsessed. It's just you need money for the mission. You need cash flow is oxygen. And I want to start with a business model in mind that is sustainable, that this could actually be practical. So it was, of course, value first. I think and of course, serve the end user. Because I think the creators have attention. I think a lot of creators struggle because they need a business and marketing mindset. And I think a lot of business and marketers struggle because they need the creator mindset. But I think that's what was helpful for me was there are all those creative elements, but the business practicality side, especially when I was 6 months away from zero in my bank account, I was like, well, this better practically work. So that was the one strategy. It was like rank videos connected to affiliate marketing for passive income. People also hate on passive income, like, oh, it's not really real. There's no such thing. And I'm like, well, I've got 14-year-old videos still getting views, paying me passively. So, well, maybe it's semantics or a debate of terms, but it feels pretty real to me. It feels pretty real to my bank account. Like, so I don't know, here for the debate. So ultimately it's like ranked videos on YouTube are like real passive income and really passive too, because Amazon has to ship the product. And if the person doesn't like it, they have to deal with returns and they have to deal. So also, I think the key there, though, is for 99% of people, it doesn't work in every niche. Every niche, I believe, can do affiliate marketing, but like every niche, I don't think can do affiliate marketing as their main income stream.
Yeah.
But tech can if you get to enough scale, because I did and can just prove how it happened. And that's exactly how I got to essentially 5K a month relatively quick and then just kept scaling it up. Because again, the big idea here was when I got $4,500 from what I had earned in December and January of 2016, that was not the same as building your list and making an offer and then selling something or like having a couple breakout videos, but then having to make some more. That was not only hitting that financial level, but actually creating a new baseline that wasn't going to go much lower than that because those were all ranked videos. So they had to produce that. Now, of course, it's going to go down because December is higher, but that's what I've continued to compound. It was just how many ranked videos could I have in my library? And I think the reasons people struggle with this, I'll never forget the first payment I got from Amazon affiliates was $2.12. And after like working my face off, it got to like $223. But now it's like 20K a month, almost never goes below, and as high as 50. What more or less, whether I upload new videos or not, because of exactly what we're describing. I have thousands of ranked videos on YouTube. So when we talk about income streams, that was the essentially first and only. And then ad revenue scales up though. So then ad revenue is like, that's cool. And then these days, I mean, FameBit, if anybody remembers that, FameBit was a brand deal marketplace that YouTube eventually acquired, renamed, and then shut down. But I would do a few brand deals and I would get some free products and some other things. But I do think there's something super powerful for every entrepreneur. I think it's probably bigger an issue than today than ever before is shiny object syndrome and distractions and chasing too many income streams. We've got 21 at Think Media, but that's because we have 30 people that can help manage it and run it. And I think it makes sense at our scale.
Wait, you have
But I think there's
21? You have 21 revenue streams?
yeah, I'll
Okay.
break them down in a second. But so, anyways, so it was the one thing. And then that became the one thing, the baseline, the pillar. It also gave me some stability because at least in our proven niche, in our business model, it was like, okay, now we have like 5K baseline. And another way to put it is I don't have to like hustle over the next month to replace the 5K. A percentage of that is coming in reoccurring. So I have stability to build on, which gives me, I can make some more videos to grow that number, but then I also can now start creating another thing. So relatively quickly, I was like, I need to package what I know into an online course to teach this. And that's why our main course and program is called Video Ranking Academy.
Mm-hmm.
So that did come out in 2016, a little rough around the edges, but the core thing had already worked. And it wasn't like I had just done it over the previous few months. I'd been doing it since 2010, not just for myself, but for others, with the big idea that 100%, and now it has evolved because a ranked video, by our definition, is any video that ranks in search because someone types something in or asks Siri for an answer to a question on YouTube and your video shows up and their audio search is a real thing, but also suggested, like any video that just keeps getting views for weeks, months, and years to come after you've posted it. That doesn't just launch and then die, but that just continues to get views would be a ranked video. And it's like, if compound interest is, the seventh wonder of the world, ranked videos are the eighth because it just continues to compound. And even more so, that's to affiliate marketing originally, but for a business owner, you want leads consistently. You want clients or customers to be discovering you and building know, like, and trust as they're watching your content for free. A ranked video is like a employee you pay once that works for free for you for weeks, months, and years to come. I'm not saying it's easy to take the research and the time and the thumbnail and shoot it and edit it and put it out there. But again, what's it worth to have a 5-year-old video that, let's say, brings you 5 leads a month and you don't do anything? It's like and it's inbound because you're not cold calling or knocking on doors or doing anything. It is actually inbound traffic that discovered you when they were ready. When the student is ready, the teacher appears and they had a pain point. They find you on YouTube. They start watching a few videos and then they give you a call. Now you're texting them. Now they jump on your email list. So that was the initial thing. Then it was like the course. And what's interesting, we also have a book called YouTube Secrets, wrote with my friend Benji. That's actually a separate business, separate LLC called Video Influencers. But I would attribute that to, as far as income, and that's mostly passive today. If you can create an asset like a book, and I probably won't be able to remember all 21 income streams, but when I say 21, I'm going to say physical book, ebook, and audiobook is 3.
Right.
Because they really are 3 different income streams. Audiobook's surprisingly lucrative if you also put out a good audiobook. And YouTube Secrets is like 135,000 copies sold. The book ranks, I think it's the number 1 best-selling YouTube strategy book. So even as it's discovered natively on Amazon, but that amount of content on YouTube as well is getting discovery to an additional, it's not affiliate marketing, that's our product. And so fast forward to today, and if I combine those two businesses, if you will, or just kind of list them out, you've got ad revenue and percentagely, I'm down to share some number. We make about $500,000 a year on Think Media ad revenue. Now we have a Think Media podcast channel. That's probably 50 grand or something in ad revenue. And then brand deals has gone anywhere from a $500 to $1 million a year business. I don't think we've ever quite hit $1 million, but and then affiliate marketing is probably another $1 million. Now, Amazon's about 300, 400 just itself. But here's kind of the crazy thing to throw out there is we are a part of 100 affiliate programs. No hyperbole there. Certainly some are like, that did $4.17. Like some niche thing, like a plugin for a video editing software, templates that at one time were shouted out in a video, and every once in a while someone. And so, but yeah, that's a lot of SaaS. And then you can split affiliates also into JVs or joint venture partners. So I would call that actually separate affiliate marketing. And separately would be joint ventures, meaning if somebody else has something cool, usually in education, like my friend Amy just launched, she helps people with online courses. And so we were like promoting her thing. So
we just had her on the podcast, actually.
Yeah, Amy Porterfield is a legend.
Yeah, she's
amazing.
Probably
the best for online courses. And so at times, especially too, it also helps us focus. What I love about that stuff is sometimes people try to be like, well, I've also done online course. We fell into this trap for a while. We had this program called Inner Circle. It actually was a very good thing, but I've learned that good is the enemy of the great, and it's a distraction. And it was the fact that like we had learned online courses, ads, funnels, email marketing, like we, and I'm not saying me, I'm saying it's credit to the Think Media team, are pretty good at this stuff. So it was kind of logical. Like, why not have a program where we teach this stuff? But what I realized is a whole nother thing. And we had sort of like a revival at our company where it was like, wait a minute, the book is YouTube secrets. Like all roads lead to YouTube, like let's double down on YouTube. And so even though it was a very powerful program, and here was what was actually kind of wild for like a business insight was it was making $25,000 a month, MRR, and we shut it down. And so small town kid, college dropout, like that was emotionally difficult to do, but also the fruit of it was insane because once it was there's this good book called The Pumpkin Plan by Michael Michalowicz, I believe. And it's a business analogy of how to grow a fruitful business based on how to grow a prize-winning pumpkin. Interesting. So how do you do it? Well, the way you grow a prize-winning pumpkin is you have to cut off the little pumpkins because they'll take away from the big one. So even though you're like, well, that one looks so great, especially it's like fall, like we need our pumpkin spice lattes. Like, we need lots of little pumpkins, different sizes. It'll make the front porch look so nice. It's like, you got to be willing to cut off the little pumpkins if you want to grow a prize-winning pumpkin.
Yeah.
And that was, our business grew as a result. Although, I mean, that's crazy. That's $300,000 a year or whatever. Like, but we scaled after we cut off, and we've continued to try to do that over time. So, and then online course is, our main course, Video Reiki Academy. Today, we've got levels to it. So we have like do it, and it's turned into a membership. So it's do it yourself, do it in a small group, with kind of cohort based with small groups, or do it with a one-on-one coach. And we now have Think Media coaches. And then when I also said 21 income streams, like I got into a stuff like we had Dave Ramsey speak at our event, and I'm mainly we're bootstrapped, never raised money, never took on a small business loan, but we do use credit cards. Not that I need to defend myself, but like, and what's like I consider an income stream, especially because we do paid ads and stuff. I want to say we probably generate well over $100,000 a year from credit card points. I know they're like, no one ever got rich with credit card points, and I'm like,
me.
Yeah, well, and again, I think even for listeners too, they missed it. You hear numbers like this, like, oh my gosh, you're making so much money, and like also true, but like at the same time, like even right now, we've been running really slim profit margin. We're at record top line revenue because also expansion. So it's like, no, we're paying people, and we just added health insurance, and you got to have cash flow for a rainy day, and we're reinvesting in the business and all kinds of stuff. So, but that's an income stream. And then I talked about like investments because I tried it to personal, and investments compounding is an income stream. When they say millionaires have 7, the IRS says the average millionaire has 7 income streams. They actually are. The IRS did not find affiliate ranked videos is not one of them for the average millionaire. It's like real estate, which is true for us as well, and like and then investments that are growing, and you could go high yield savings. So you could start getting in to see how there could be lots of different. But then trying to go through more, we do events, so that's a different one, and I think we just call that one, but physical events, paid online events, And then consulting could be one that I would do, and or speaking myself. There's another one, paid speaking engagements. So, I mean, in answer to your question, I'm happy to, share any other areas that I could illuminate, but those are, let me summarize with this. The way we look at Think Media today, and we might break it up in the future or organize it a little bit differently because but I see it as 4 businesses. I see it as, and and the way it's set up is there's leaders over each business. So for example, think the YouTube channel is one business. Kyle Anderson is running, is like our director of the channel, and channels, kind of, you have the podcast channel. And so that business, the goal is to make each business profitable and self-sustaining. And that business is YouTube ads, affiliate marketing, brand deals, and sort of like front facing. But then the other goal is that they all connect and feed each other. And they do, like naturally as it would. So then the second business would be, you could call it info products or education, membership sites. The third business would be management consulting, which is kind of the wrong term, but it's nice. It's the right term. It's coaching business. And this is kind of a tip I learned was, don't try to reinvent the wheel, but like get your language right. I learned this from Layla Hermosi. Like if you want to hire somebody, like figure out literally what their title should be. And don't like, I don't know exactly, go find it out. Is it a chief operation officer? Is it a director of operations? Is it because they're paid differently, and what exactly do you need? So I was like, man, I kind of want to think about starting a coaching business. Well, sure. But you start reverse engineering back from what would a management consulting company do, would be like, how could that be structured? How could we learn it? And it's just sort of a different approach. So that's why I would call that one the coaching arm. And then the last one would be an events business. And while they're all Think Media or Clear Vision Media Inc., kind of our holding company, ultimately that is sort of the 4 arms that we're building out. And then all these niche income streams sort of connect. And then certainly some of the income streams step into like a personal finance, which lives inside and outside of the company. For example, if you take business revenue, sophisticated business owners, many listening might benefit from this, or some are already doing this. If you're sitting on a bunch of cash, you can still sit on it, but you might as well put it in high yield savings or money markets or something that,
right.
How soon do you need the money? And that's an income stream,
right.
Like, especially depending on how much, dry powder you have, how much cash you're sitting on. Like, you throw $1 million at 5% on the high yield with the way interest rates were. Is that 50 grand in a year? That's
meaningful.
Am I right? I'm not good at math. So that's an income stream. You just made 50 grand because you put your money to work for you, even at a quote unquote lower level, because interest rates have been so high. That is having your money working smarter, not harder.
It's interesting too, seeing it in the 4 business models within the kind of umbrella company. And to think about where you started with 1 to 2 revenue streams, and now there's 21 in 4 different business categories is really amazing. And I think it shows how much you have had this vision all along for what you were building. And I kind of want to wrap us up in this way of like earlier in this conversation, you mentioned early you were thinking about the legacy of the business. And I'm curious now, almost 10 years into Think Media, 15 into YouTube and being a creator, almost 20 actually. What do you feel like your legacy is at this point? Like, and how do you feel about the way that it's developed over time?
That's a deep question. I think that what I ultimately want to solve for is impact. And one simple phrase would be, I'm trying to live up to my God-given potential. And I'm trying to stewardship is the word for me. So there's been a lot of strategy and a lot of thinking that's went into all of this. But I actually think I'm also kind of just a reactionary, intuitive leader, if you will. because again, it was like, I didn't even jump out until my freelance clients fired me. So then I was like, I guess I'm starting this next thing. And then it was like, we have content creators. We could have a part 2 of the conversation, like this whole I'd build a media company and having talent and lessons I learned, but like, even that was, were you trying to be the Daily Wire or something? Like, no, like not at all. Like it was sort of almost accidental, but I think more, it was intentional, but it was stewardship, meaning the people who just came into my life and the conversations that happened over coffee. And I think it's also stewardship. It looks at, man, what's in my hand and how can I multiply it? Which is like a faith-based perspective.
Mm-hmm.
I believe that's what God challenges us to do. It's like, just what's in your hand, just stewarding. What was put in my hand back in 2003 by my youth pastor was a video camera and Adobe Premiere video editing software. And I just wanted to serve the youth ministry, help it grow, and make the best weekly video announcements that I could.
Yeah.
And so then as Think Media has grown, I'm always at the intersection of also thinking about family, kids, solving for those types of things. But as a leader, I'm asking, how far can we go? And what I'm way more into is actually the journey. I certainly, yes, money for the mission. But like right now, we're running 1% profit margins, which is actually terrible in the online influencer space. Because a lot of people that do, and like course creators and stuff, like they're like, oh, we got 50, 60, 70% profit margins, at least 30. But it's just different mindsets. Respect. There's a good phrase called stay small, keep it all.
Mm-hmm.
But what are you solving for? And so another good book from Michael McCallowis is called Profit First. So profit's a pretty big deal. And this whole thing's going to fall down if there's not enough profit over, but what am I solving for? I am solving for now the stewardship of the incredible humans that have come along to help us build at Think Media, like our executive team, Brian and Kyle and Melissa and Jordan and Sonia, like all of us, is like, who's here? What could we do? What could we build? What's next? How could we steward this thing? And how can we solve for making a difference in our customers and our community and our viewers? And how can we pivot to what's happening? But just, where could this thing go next? Because it's way different than I thought it would look like. And it's kind of like everybody listening to this is trying to climb the mountain, and they think they are shooting for the summit of the mountain. And I feel like I've hit different summits. And it wasn't until I got there that I realized, wow, I just reached the top of the mountain. But now I realize I'm still at the bottom of a whole nother mountain range. Mm-hmm. So now it's just navigating this next season of where are we going for. And so for me, I think legacy is what I would want to solve for. And there's a book called $1 Trillion Coach. Bill Campbell was like a Silicon Valley legend, and 2,000 people were at his funeral.
Great
and
book.
It just speaks to the impact and the difference in the lives of people. And it also speaks to me always course correcting, because it's easy to get into just type A, productivity, survival, task oriented. But at the end of the day, it's people. We're in a people business. I tell our team all the time that we're customer focused business. Like what winning looks like is adding value. Yesterday's home runs will not win today's games. Nobody owes us anything. We're not entitled to views tomorrow. We're not entitled. Like we have to just always strive to add value to that end user, and our income will be directly correlated to the value we add to the marketplace. And then, but more probably one of the main things that drives, there's probably two things. I want to make great content, but probably even more importantly, I want to build a great company culture and just do meaningful things with people I love.
Yeah.
So, and I hope, and I think we're experiencing that, I think right now, and culture is like a garden. You got to pull weeds and water it consistently, and you might have an aphids attack in one side and they're eating all your, your leaves or something. I think it's going to happen. It's going to be an ongoing process of planting, nurturing, watering, mm-hmm. refining. And so to me, that's kind of what I'm after, and just feeling blessed and humbled and grateful. There's this verse where King David in the Bible says, "Who am I, God, that you brought me this far?" Life's weird. Like I don't even know what's happening, but it's like, it just feels like stewardship. I'm like, just here we are. What do we do now? And a level of also feeling, 1% profit is also thinking not just what can happen for Sonia and I, my wife, and our kids now and legacy, but I feel a responsibility to somebody did the math, and it's not just the 30 to 40 people, with contractors, but it's their kids and their families. There's a lot of responsibility on my weight, and I want that responsibility. It's the way I'd be wired. I always love the team leadership. Like, could we build something, that's special and that's meaningful and have fun in the process? And it goes all the way back to just stewarding that video camera that was put in my hand. I didn't know this YouTube thing would happen. Also, we kept asking, is YouTube going to keep, is it going to turn into being a MySpace? And so the humility I try to have to also just be like, I am incredibly blessed and can't take credit for the fact that a lot of right place, right time to be in YouTube early. And that then YouTube, when we continue to say Goldman Sachs said that the creator economy is going to double in the next 3 years, revenue, income wise, the next 3 years are going to be the best 3 years in the creator economy. YouTube continues to grow. The made on YouTube thing just happened. It's viewed more than Netflix and Hulu and everything else now. Longer form video, more on TVs. Most predictions is is YouTube going anywhere? No. It's not only is it secure, it continues to compound. Well, shoot, it's really nice. And obviously there's others. I remember when 2020 happened and a bunch of people launched their book and course on Clubhouse. And, they were going all in on being the number one Clubhouse expert and stuff. Respect is good. Go for it. And I remember being on Clubhouse all day, every day when we all had nothing to do. I don't know how that's working out right now. So, but obviously Clubhouse has shifted and we have Twitter Spaces. Punchline, just incredibly grateful. So stewardship. It's just stewardship of that, trying to be faithful with what's in my hand, multiply it, and trying to live up to my God-given potential and honor the people around me, the team, my family, our customers, our viewers, and just do the best I can in the process.
Yeah. Wow. Well, I can tell that you are an amazing leader. I can listen to you talk all day long. And I love the focus on stewardship, focusing on what's right in front of you, the resources that are in your hand, and kind of having that open palm, receptive mentality as well, which I can tell has been a constant throughout your journey. Thank you so much for sharing so much wisdom and transparency in this conversation. I get so much life from these discussions, especially when entrepreneurs like you kind of let down the veil a little bit and really tell us what's going on. And I just appreciate your transparency in that. I know people are going to want to talk to you after this. So where can people connect with you moving forward?
Well, yeah, I want to thank you for having me on, and just so grateful to hope today's conversation was valuable. Yeah. Sean Cannell, rhymes with YouTube channel, Instagram. You can slide into my DMs, SeanCannell. And then, Think Media and Think Media Podcast. Probably Think Media Podcast is where a lot of my energy is. We have 2 shows a week. And so if people are interested, you could definitely check that out. And it's a good time to start and grow a YouTube channel. And it's a tough time to start and grow a YouTube channel. Oh, it's a little bit harder now, for sure. What are you going to do? Complain? It's still, YouTube is recommending small channels and new channels. They just launched some new things for it. So the landscape's always changing, but the data supports right now, there's massive opportunity on YouTube. And when you're even, thinking about how you could build a community and how you could build a circle and how you can, think about other income streams and whatnot, we're there to help you on the Think Media podcast to, the promise is unfiltered YouTube tips for building a profitable channel. So we're there to help you really navigate and create a path to figure out how to make it sustainable and have money for the mission. So that's the Think Media podcast, comes out on audio and the YouTube channel specifically. And I really appreciate you having me on.
Yeah, of course. We will have all of that linked up in the show notes. Thank you so much, Sean, for your time. And I can't wait to have you back on and talk more content creation tips next time.
Let's do it.
Awesome. Thank you. Hey there, it is your host, Alexis. That conversation with Sean was filled with so many insights and wisdom. As you heard, he's been creating YouTube videos for over 10 years now, and he has easily impacted millions of people. When I asked him to connect me with someone in his community that's had a lot of growth as a result of working with him, he connected me with Denise Jordan. Denise was retired and looking for ways to stay busy and provide a service to people. She really wanted to help others, so she turned to YouTube and started her channel, Homemaking with Denise. As a 73-year-old woman with over 50 years of homemaking experience, she wanted to teach young homemakers tips on cooking, cleaning, budgeting, and laundry. Let's hear how she first got connected with Sean and how she's since grown her YouTube channel to over 80,000 subscribers in 4 years. Hello. Thank you so much for being here, Denise. I'm so excited to hear your story and hear how Sean has impacted your life and your business. Welcome.
Thank you. And I am so glad that you invited me to join you. I love talking about Sean.
I love it. Well, I really love this conversation with Sean. I got to learn so much backstory about him and also just how long he has been doing this and how long he's been, helping people with video and really improving their video production, but also the way that they are building community through, video. And so I'd love to hear from you. When was the first time, if you can remember, when you first came across Sean and his work, and how did it resonate with you?
Well, I had started a YouTube channel, but I didn't have a clue as to what I needed to do. But I just wanted to start a YouTube channel and I started it to have fun. But one of the things that I knew is that there was a way to go about doing things. And when I first got started, I was just throwing spaghetti against the wall to see what stuck. So I started researching best practice for YouTube. What's the best way to start a YouTube channel? What are some of the best practices for creating video? And one of Sean's videos popped up and I watched it and I was so struck by his common sense approach that I thought, oh, I kind of like this guy. So then I watched another one and then I watched another one. And it was kind of like I went down a rabbit hole watching so many of his videos. And he just gave so much value about how to go about starting the channel. What are some of the things you need to do? He talked about niching down, which, like I said, I was throwing spaghetti against the wall. So I was nowhere near niche down. But one of the things he would always say is if you chase two rabbits, you don't catch either one of them. And it just kind of struck. And so when I really started to niche down, I really began to see a difference on my channel.
And what year was this? Do you happen to remember how long ago this was?
Maybe 4, maybe 5 years ago, because I decided to start my channel after I retired. And I had retired from teaching community health nursing, and I just wanted something to do in my spare time because I couldn't see myself just sitting around watching TV all day. So I think it was about 5 years ago, but I'm not sure. But now here's the other thing. I didn't always do exactly what he said do. And what I found is that when I didn't do what he suggested doing, things didn't go as well as I would have liked. So during one of the videos, he started talking about his signature academy, VRA or Video Ranking Academy. And so I decided to join that. And that really made a big difference to me because I quit messing around. I quit doing this and doing a little of that and just really focused on the teaching that he was giving us. And it really did make a difference.
What were some tactical aspects of applying what you were learning? So you went through the course, you joined the Video Ranking Academy, you start niching down, you start applying a lot of the methodologies and strategies to your own YouTube channel. What were some specific things that started to happen for you as a result of implementing Sean's teachings?
One of the biggest things was to identify who you're talking to, that you had to figure out who your ideal customer avatar was, and then go from there. And once I decided that I'm talking to homemakers, primarily young homemakers, then I was able to really focus on what their needs were. And not only did I think about, well, what was I like as a young homemaker, but I started asking questions like if I met you, let's say we were at a doctor's office or we were at somewhere out and we just got to chatting, I would say, so what are your homemaking challenges? I just started asking young women, what were some of their challenges, and then creating videos that spoke to those. And then my other thing was that I really wanted to be of service because I didn't really care if I made any money when I got started. I just needed something to do. But then I realized that I could really be of service through this platform and with the particular focus that I was taking. So I began asking, what do you need? What are your questions? What are your concerns? And realized that I knew the answers.
I love
So, I
that.
mean, because I've been a homemaker for more than 50 years. So been there, done that.
Yes, you're the mentor that so many people need in that stage of their life. I love your energy and I love that focus of wanting to be of service. When you started to click all of that, like you start getting traction, you're having these conversations in real life, you're making the content, it's really starting to feel like there's alignment, there's that energy that you're getting from it. Was there a stage where you did start to monetize? And how did that shift strategy and how did working with Sean kind of help that stage of video creation? Because sometimes it's, you're building an audience and you're getting awareness and kind of clarity first. And
Mhm.
then monetization usually comes secondary. So yeah, I'm curious what your experience has been with that.
Monetization came secondary because, like I said, I really didn't care about making any money. I just wanted to have fun and then I wanted to be of service. But I begun to realize through Sean that number one, YouTube is a business and you can monetize your channel and you can make enough money to make a difference in your life or also in your family's life, depending upon what it is that you need. And as I begun to want to have better quality production, better microphones, better cameras, software you purchase for like Adobe Premiere and those kinds of things. Those things all cost money. Getting an editor to help with your video editing, all those things cost money. So I thought, okay, I need to monetize. And my first focus was just YouTube Partner Program. But through VRA and working with Sean, I realized there is really a lot more out there than YouTube partners. For example, I through Sean, I started my own business. Like I sell aprons. You see, I got one hanging on the door in the background.
It's
But
beautiful.
I would always wear aprons in my videos, and people would say, well, where'd you get your apron from? So I thought, well, why don't I start a business and let them buy them from me? So that's one of the ways that I'm monetized is that I have my own product that I sell. The other thing that I learned to do was to get more affiliate links because I really didn't try much with affiliate links at first because I think between you and me and everybody else that's listening, I was a little conscientious about the fact that, there's not many people my age on YouTube, not many women in the homemaking space my age on YouTube. So I was always a little self conscious about that. But
Hmm.
one of the things that I realized was, you know what? I have the receipts. I've been there, done that. I know what I'm talking about. So I have value to offer. So I began to lean more into affiliate links. I would lean more into trying to get sponsorships or brand deals and things like that. And also learn my values so that when people offer me things, I'm like, that doesn't align with my values. Even if they're willing to offer money, um, for example, somebody offered me to do some CBT oil. I think that's CBD oil, but some kind of oil that does not align with my values coming from a healthcare professional. And I'm like, thank you, but no.
Mm-hmm.
So and so I really think long and hard about what I want to put in front of my homemakers.
Yeah.
And one thing Sean always said was never post a video that your viewers didn't ask for.
Mm.
And what he means by that is if it doesn't align with what their needs are, don't do it. So I don't post videos about gaming. I don't post videos about um, cars and different things like that. I post videos about homemaking, anything that's related to homemaking, which there's a lot in that particular niche. I could have 4 or 5 different buckets that fall under there, but I make sure it's something that my homemakers need. So whereas my young homemakers are the primary focus, it spills over to those millennials and to the seasoned homemakers like myself Well, there
Mhm.
are things that we can always learn,
Yeah.
or we're in a different season. You go from empty nest, or rather, you go from having a house full of children to an empty nest. So then now what do I do? How is homemaking different? That kind of thing.
Yeah, there's different sub niches within the homemaking community. It's
Right.
really cool. One, love that you started an apron making company. Like you were it was easy to showcase the product too because you're wearing it in all of your videos on and then through affiliate links and things like that. Can you give me rough numbers on where your revenue is? Like, because you've been doing this for about 4 or 5 years now. Has it turned into something that you are able to like rely on month over month, or is it still variable?
It's still variable. And here's the thing, it gives to me what I give to it.
Mm,
It just depends upon, what I'm feeling. So, like I said, I'm not trying to make a lot of money, but, just enough to cover the expenses of the things that I need because I'm comfortable in my retirement.
yeah.
However, a few hundred extra dollars a month can make a difference in paying for Adobe Premiere or that editor and that kind of thing.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Well, I've loved getting to hear how you've grown as a result of being a video creator and also the impact that you've had on the homemaking community, and as well as just Sean's role in that and
Mhm.
how pivotal he's been to teaching and educating. I'm curious if you could say one thing to Sean, what would it
Oh,
be?
thank you. I would really like to thank him because one of the things that he helped me to realize was that I do have value and something to offer to the YouTube community. Because, like I said, I struggle with imposter syndrome and a little bit of fear because, I'm 73 years old. So it was like, Mm, there's nobody out there 73 years old talking about homemaking. But Sean helped me to realize that in my legacy years that I do have a lot to offer and it's okay and to lean into it. So I want to thank him for helping me learn to recognize my value and to lean into it. Sometimes I'll do a video and I'll talk about what I've learned in 50 years of homemaking because I've learned some things and I've got some things to share.
Yeah, I wanna learn from you. I'm like, I want you to be my mentor and that your age is an asset. Your age
Yes,
is a huge asset and, your lived experience and you getting to share that with people online. So, Denise, thank you so much for your time and for sharing your experience. I really appreciate it.
you're welcome.